Welcome back to Crochet by Landry, everybody. Today we're going to be making another ornament to go on our Christmas tree right now, and it's going to be the plum pudding ornament. So don't forget to grab your pattern off yarnspirations.com. The link is in the description box down below. And once you've grabbed that, let's get started making our Christmas ornament for our Christmas tree. Okay, so let's jump right in and make our next ornament for our Christmas tree, and Christmas is on Monday or maybe a day later depending on your time zone. But let's make our next ornament, which is going to be plum pudding. I thought it'd be fun to make another ornament for our Christmas tree, or if you want to make some for your friends and family too, that makes sense. So grab your tools. What you're going to need is you're going to need your yarn, and I'm going to be using the Lily Sugar and Cream, and I'm going to be using it in white, warm brown, dark pine, and red. Then you need some scissors, a yarn needle for weaving in your ends, and you're going to be using two different hooks, a 4mm and a 3.5mm. So let's grab our stuff, and if you want to follow along with me, you can grab the pattern off of yarnspirations.com. I'll put the link down below. But other than that, let's get started making our next Christmas ornament. Okay, so let's get started making your ornament. You're going to use your brown color, which is your pudding color. And you're going to start off with a slip knot. And a chain 2 to begin. 1 and 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put 6 single crochets in that second chain from the hook, because we're going to be working in a circle. So just 6 single crochets in that second chain from your hook. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 5, one more, and 6. And then what you're going to do is you're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet that you made. So if you have to, you can count backwards from where you stopped and count back 6 till you find that first single crochet that you made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is right here. So you're just gonna stick your hook. You may have to wiggle it a little bit to get it in with your, may have to use your finger to get it in, but there you go. So just join with a slip stitch, and then you're gonna chain 1 to start the next round. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around, starting in the same places where you joined. So put 2 single crochets in where you joined, and then just keep going until you've reached 12 stitches. Once you've reached 12, join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so I just finished round 2 and I joined with a slip stitch. So now to start round 3, you're going to chain 1. And what you're going to do is you're going to put 1 single crochet in that space where you joined. And then you're going to put 2 in the next stitch after that. And that's going to be the pattern for this round, is you're going to go 1, and then the next stitch, 2. So we're going to be going from 12 stitches to 18. So just finish that round and I will meet up with you and we will move on to the next round together. Okay, so I just finished round 3. This is what your thing should look like. So then we're going to chain 1 to start the next round. And what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 single crochets in that space where you joined. Okay. And then you're going to put 2 single crochets in the next 2. So 1 in the next one, and then 1 in the one after that. And then we're just going to repeat that. So do an increase in the next stitch. So 1, 2, just got to pull a bit more yarn. There we go. And then 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. Okay, so that's the whole pattern this time. So it's increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, and then just complete that all the way around. And once you get there, I'll meet you there at the end. So that was round 4. You should have 24 stitches by the end of that round. Now we're going to chain 1 to begin round 5, and you're going to put 1 in that first stitch. Okay, and then you're going to put 2 in the next one. So increase in the next stitch. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 in each of the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And you're just going to repeat that. So then you go, and then it's increase, and then 1 in each of the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then increase again. 1 and 2, and then 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then you're going to do that all the way around until you get to the end. And once you get to the end of the row, and then you're going to put 1 stitch in each of the last 2. And I'll meet you there. So you should finish your row with just 2 single crochets by themselves. So what you're going to do now is join with a slip stitch, chain 1 to begin your final round. And what you're going to do is you're going to put 2 single crochets in that space where you joined. Okay, and then 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you're going to increase in the 5th. So in the next stitch. Oops, try not to split your yarn. There you go. Okay, and then you're just going to repeat that. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase in the next one. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. Once you get to the end, you're going to slip stitch, and I'll show you how to fasten off. Okay, so that was the end of round 6. You should be at 36 stitches. To fasten off, you're going to slip stitch, and then you're just going to chain 1. And then what you're going to do is just trim your tail. Not too long, because we're going to have to weave it in. And I'm going to take a second to weave my tails in, just so they're not in my way when I go to do the rest of the ornament. Just makes it a little easier, makes it a little cleaner, and you have less to sew in later, so you don't have to fight with it and get lost with what tail you're using. I'm just going to take a second and weave them in really quickly. You can weave in as you go, or you can wait until the end and weave them all in at the same time. I like to pick and choose when I'm going to weave the tails in. Sometimes I weave them in right away or as I go, and sometimes I work over the tail if I can. But just because we're making an ornament, I want to make this as clean as possible. So I figured, why not take a second and weave them in. So this is what your little piece should look like so far. So let's move on to the icing. So you're going to grab your icing color and your hook, and let's make the icing. All right, so we're going to be making the icing for the ornament. So you're going to do is start with a slip knot. Okay, and then you're going to also chain 5 to get started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to put 1 single crochet. Okay, and then you're going to put 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. So you have a total of 4 stitches by the end of this row. There we go. Okay, and the second row is you're going to chain 1, turn your work. So you're going to looking at the opposite side, and you're going to put 2 single crochets in the first stitch. 1 and 2, and then 1 in each of the next, I want to say the next 2 stitches. So just 1 in each, leaving the last one open. And then you're going to put 2 in that last stitch. Okay, going from your stitches that you had, and you've added 2 more. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the last row 3 more times until you've reached 12 single crochets. So it's just chain 1 and then 2 single crochets in the first one, and then 1 in each across till you get to the last one. Okay. And once you get to the last one, you may have to push your way through, as if the stitches, depending how tight your tension is, but 2 in the last one. Okay, I'm going to do this 2 more times and I'll meet you up when I have 12 single crochets. Okay, so for the final row, after you hit 12 stitches across, you're going to chain 2, which counts as a half double crochet. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place 2 double crochets in that same stitch. So that's 1, and then that's 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to skip the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, slip stitch in the third. Okay. And then what you're going to do is skip 1 more stitch, and then you're going to put 2 double crochets in this stitch here. Now we're going to do that twice, which means you're going to put 2 more double crochets in the next stitch over. Okay. Then what you're going to do next is you're going to skip a stitch and then slip stitch in this stitch, and the next one after that. Okay, and then you're going to skip 2 more stitches, and then in the last stitch you're going to put 2 double crochets. So that's 1 double crochet, that's 2 double crochets, and 1 half double crochet. Okay, and that is what your piece should look like. We'll sew this tail in. So after that, you're going to fasten off, which is just chaining 1, trimming your tail. Okay, and we'll put this aside with the other piece, and we're going to go ahead and make the leaves. Okay, so now we're going to make the leaves for our ornament that we're making. So we're going to need to make 2. So we're starting with a slip knot, and you're going to chain 6 to begin. And you're going to be using your 3.5 millimeter hook for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in the second chain from the hook, you're going to put 1 single crochet. Now we are going to be working on both sides of the chain, just so you're aware. Okay, and then we're also going to be putting 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. So that's 2 more, so 1 and 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to make what's called a picot stitch. So what we're going to do is in that chain 3 at the bottom where our first chain was, we're going to do a slip stitch. So just insert your hook in that stitch and do a slip stitch. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to slip stitch back into that chain that the original chain 3 came out of. Okay. After you've done that, we're going to do another single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, And then you're going to put 3 single crochets in that last stitch, so it can help us turn the corner. So that's 2, I need 1 more. Okay. And I'm actually going to work over my little tail here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put on the opposite side of the chain, we're going to work 2 single crochets. Okay. And you're just going to try and mirror image your stitches as best you can. Okay. And then now we're going to do, once you've done your 2 single crochets, I'm actually going to take a second and trim this little tail so it's not in my way. There we go. Now we're going to do is we're going to do another picot stitch. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch at the bottom of that chain 3, and then slip stitch again at the base where it came out of. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put 2 single crochets back in to try to get you to the top. So 1 there. 1 there. And then you're just going to slip stitch to the very top of your leaf to finish it off. And then chain 1. Now leave a little bit of a tail so you can sew your leaf onto your ornament when the time comes. Doesn't have to be too long, just long enough so you can sew it on properly. And then if you didn't work over that tail like I did, just weave it in, and that way it's out of your way. But now we're going to work on the cherry, so we're going to grab our red. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to make another slip knot, and we're still using our 3.5 millimeter hook. And you're going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put 5 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what you're going to do is slip stitch to that first single crochet. Okay. Fasten off by chaining 1 and leave a little bit of a tail. There we go. Okay, and you can actually work that little tail. Take a minute and stitch that little tail in, or just leave it and sew it in later, but it's up to you. That was the cherry, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our pieces together. So we've got our 2 leaves and our cherry, and then our pudding piece. Now to finish the 2 pieces, the pudding pieces, we're going to put them together kind of like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to join with a slip stitch. So I'm just going to grab my hook here, and I'm going to grab my size 4 millimeter hook for this. And what you're going to do is you're just going to join with a slip stitch. So I'm just going to put this anywhere. So I'm going to start in a corner here, and I'm going to go through both pieces, making sure you're going through both the icing and the pudding part itself. And then you're just going to pull a loop up and join with a slip stitch. Okay, and then chain 1. Now this white tail, I'm going to try to work over it, but I may just end up stitching it in, which will be easier. And you're going to work 1 single crochet around the outer edge. So just remember going through both when you're near the the icing part, you're going to go through both pieces. So just put one single crochet all the way around. But when you're working through the top half of this, you have to go through both pieces, which may take you a little extra time, but take your time. There's no rush. Okay. That's the last stitch for my icing part. And now I'm just going to continue in the pudding piece. And I'm just going to go all the way around, putting one single crochet in each stitch. And I'll meet you back when we get back to the white piece here. All right, so I'm back at the next piece there when I have to keep going in the white. So I'm just going to I kind of like to put my finger in between both pieces so I can really make sure that I'm putting my hook in both pieces. There we go. And like I said, you're just putting your hook anywhere in the white one, and then you're trying to stick your hook in the adjacent stitch on your brown piece as best as you can. Now don't forget, if your hook gets stuck, don't pull. You don't want to snap your yarn. Okay. Okay, I think we got one more, just to be on the safe side. Okay, and then I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet that I made. There we go. Then I'm going to fasten off. I'm just going to trim my end here. Okay, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to weave these ends in so they're not in my way when I go to sew on the leaf and berry. Okay, that was one. Okay, that's the icing. So let's grab our yarn needle and our leaf and berry, and we're going to sew those on as well. Now you want to try to sew them at the top here. So kind of like your leaves go kind of like this, and then your berry is going to go in the center, kind of like that. So I'm going to kind of place my berry, my first leaf here. Now I'm going to try my best to not go through both pieces, so I can make this look as neat as possible. And all I'm doing is I'm picking up a couple of stitches and just going around. There we go. Okay. I'm just gonna stitch this on as best I can. What I'm going to do now is, once I've done, I'm just going to kind of stick my needle through the back side here, and I'm going to weave my tail in so that way it doesn't come loose. I'm going to kind of do the same thing to the other leaf, and I'll sew the berry on, and I will meet back with you when I've done that. So this is what it should look like once you've got all your stuff sewn on. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut about a 10-inch piece of yarn out of the white for that you use for the icing, and you're going to use it as a the loop for your ornament. So I'm going to kind of just find a place in the back to attach it. So I'm just going to connect both ends like this. Probably a little bit too long. There you go. And I'm just going to tie both ends in a little knot. And that's it for today, everybody. We made a nice, cute little ornament to go on our Christmas tree this year. There we go. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button and the notification bell, and I will see you next week for more crochet fun. Have a happy holidays, have a safe new year, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.